Okay, so I'm gonna go full nerd here for a moment and suspend your judgment because I'm having a lot of feelings right now, and having genuine feelings sometimes is the hardest thing for me because what I expect and want for myself is competence and strength and the generosity and ability to shield and protect other people, to continue challenging myself, and to always be, moving forward. And I believe in forward momentum more than I believe in almost anything else. Um, and a couple years ago, I ended up in a situation where everything that I am felt extraordinarily challenged, if not destroyed. I was in a situation where I was responsible for a number of people's well being and their lives and potentially parts of their futures. I was in a teaching position, teaching young adults, and I felt like I had found my absolute calling because I lecture in my sleep, okay? I lecture in my dreams. I literally am sitting there all the time thinking, oh, I explained this so badly last time, but maybe this time I could explain it better. And here are the pieces of how I learned to think about this thing, and maybe that would help somebody else. And there's so many ways that the act of teaching, the act of sharing what I found in the world and giving that out to someone else and accepting what they have found in return is the most important kind of interaction in the world that there is. And I got to teach. I mean, I got cool things like an office and stuff like that I never really wanted. I'm not an office person, but I got to walk into a classroom every single day and share what I have found and receive back like these little sparks of other people finding new things. And I didn't have the best craftsmanship of it. It took me a long time to find that, and I don't know what my freaking phone is doing with this color correction. There we go. But it was when you find something that you were made to do, you might not have the skill in it right away. And I'm still working on developing the skills to be the best, in a practical sense, best teacher that I can be. But I could tell that that's what I was supposed to be doing. And then I came upon a situation where I was up against some people who wanted things to stay as they are when some practices that exist in the world, many practices that exist in the world, aren't healthy and aren't sustainable, especially to marginalized communities, especially to vulnerable people, especially to kids, to people who are just breaking into an industry, just discovering who they are as people and as artists. And I was in a situation with people who wanted to be destructive to that flourishing of new people and wanted to be able to be predatory and take possession of the right to talk about and control other people's bodies and minds, to control conversations, which I will never believe that that is what teaching is about, controlling conversations. What's the point of that? If you're a teacher, why would that be what you want to do? And I just, I guess I tried to use myself as a tank as much as I could. I tried to stand in front of other people who I would hear something that implied that somebody was being, let's say, blacklisted, victimized, talked about, put in uncomfortable positions, or about to be. And I would just be like, me instead. You'd just be like, be mad at me. Okay, I will be the dick in this picture. I will take that if that will mean that somebody else doesn't have to today, because that was all that I wanted at the time. And I would have rather, and I still would rather, take those hits on myself as much as I possibly could because I wanted that relationship between teacher and student to be able to flourish. And I was in a situation where people telling me, no, that's not important. We hired you to teach here, but that doesn't mean we actually want you to teach. That doesn't mean we want you to care about your students. That doesn't mean that we want you. I would get feedback that was just, you, you spend too much time on your students. Yeah. What else am I here to spend my time on? What else are we doing? And it was expected of me, as far as I could tell, to just let predatory comments and physical comments about students and physical behavior about students, comment about their nudity, their physical attractiveness, their intelligence, their competence. All women are aggressive and all men are eye candy. That was the vibe that I was living with, and I couldn't live with it. And I couldn't live living somewhere where my boss, when I walked into his office and gave a Title IX report about somebody being harassed and stalked, just said, "Oh, I know that boy who's being accused. Like, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that. I mean, not that I don't believe her, but he wouldn't do that." Like, what is this world that we're living in? It is 2021. What are we doing, dude? How is that even a comment that still comes out of your mouth, much less makes it out into the air where I have to hear it? Like, that's ridiculous. What if that student who was afraid had actually come into that office and made that same report instead of the faculty member had come to talk to the boss? What if the student had gone directly to him and had to hear that? What kind of impact would that have had on her? What kind of excuse is there for that kind of behavior when we all know better now? There's no excuse to not know better. And I always thought that I was the kind of person where if I really set my mind to something, I could change it. And I mean, if there's a wall in front of me, I am really good, honestly, really good at talking to that wall until that wall is on my side. And that is something that I have always been good at for whatever reason. I don't know why, but that is something that I know that I'm good at. And I always figured if that doesn't work and I can't talk my way out of something, I can break a hole in that wall. Like, I can walk right through it. I will find a way to break it down because I know what I believe, and I know that human experience matters more than anything else can. It's not about legacy or rigor or plus or minus a couple points on a grade point average. Like, that's not life. That's never been what life is. And I was in a work environment where people were trying to convince me that that's exactly what life is. And I have frankly lived too much to be stupid enough to believe that. But that's what people were trying to convince me I had to teach my students, and that it's not right to stand up for yourself. You sit there and you take it. And no, you don't. No, you don't. We sit there and we take it just means that it comes more. Anytime you give someone an opportunity to take advantage of you, that just means that they do it more next time. And that's not what I'm about to train students, young adults coming into the world, to be. That's not what I want to be. That's not what I want to see the world be for them. We make progress and we move forward, and we don't let the world stagnate just because it's been done that way before. And I was being told, hey, this wall, girl, this wall bigger than you. It's in your way. And you can't fight your way through it because it is going to fight back and it is going to crush you. And I've never failed at something that was that important to me before. I was a college professor, and we had, 400 students in and out of that building every day, and I could not protect them. At the end of the day, I couldn't even protect me, even with all the weapons and shields and skills that I have built throughout my life. When it really came down to me, I couldn't even protect me. And I have never failed at something like that before. My life has been full of little failures and stupid failures and things I could have just chosen to understand beforehand to prepare for, and I didn't because I'm dumb and chaotic, but I had never had something matter to me that much and not even been able to make a dent in the wall. And I'm talking about this because today I had an interview with a different university, be a professor again, even though I had decided that I never wanted to do that. But she remembered me from a different university, and she cold called me and she said, hey, we talked to you before, and I've remembered you this entire time, and I would love to interview you again for this position that we have open again. And she talked to me about things like appropriation and personal respect and boundaries and consent and bodies and the balance between personal and professional and in the life of an artist who wants to work as an artist, and all the important things. Decolonization, race and ethics, and critical thinking, and how are you going to approach making this world better for our students? And that is everything that I ever wanted, because at JMU, a part of me just got trashed. Like, not in a way that I expected. I am used to certain types of defeats and I can ride with them forever, but a part of me that said, I can make a difference. What if you just can't? What if What if the wall is just so much bigger than you that it's not even that I can't climb it, but I can't help somebody else get over it? I can't even give them a leg up. Like, what if that's the reality of arts industry and academia? What if that's the truth that I've been rejecting the whole time, that I think I can change something and actually surprise, no. Like, what if that's the reality that I've been hiding from myself? And talking to someone else who shares my core values, my sense of self, and was interested in talking about who I am and what the things I bring that I value could be of value, meant literally though, it meant everything to me. Like, I don't even care if I get that job. I don't care if they never call me again. I care that I had that moment with another industry professional who is fighting the same fight and walking the same walk and reestablishing new rules that mean that we all get to interact with the world more equally and on our own terms and with consent to the rules that govern us. And that we all have something to stand on, like a solid ground to say that some things are still wrong. And we don't get to hide from them. And we don't get to just let predators walk around. We don't get to do that. And maybe that's my place of weakness, that I was starting to accept that maybe that's just what reality is. You know, like maybe I don't get to change reality. Maybe I'm not that cool. Like, maybe that's just a grand delusion that I've made for myself, that I have the power to change things, to make something substantially better for myself or anyone else. Maybe not. Maybe it's only the people who benefit from the status quo, from the acceptable state of predatory behavior, and oh, it's always been this way, and it's the legacy. Maybe it's the people who profit from that, who want me to think that we are powerless. And I don't believe that anyone is ever truly powerless. But sometimes you do find a wall that is bigger than you. And maybe it's not that wall that you get. Maybe it's the next one, the one after that. Maybe it's a one in a different part of the country. Maybe someday you come back and you get to tackle that same wall again. Maybe the next time somebody else gets in a fight with that wall, you're there and you bring in the support troops, you know. I don't think it can possibly be about just one single moment or one single event or one single year. But I know that something in me was refreshed today that had been just dying, because I believe in the power of artistry and media and people, in the way that people can be compassionate towards each other, towards building the best versions of ourselves. I believe in that, and I almost, for a little bit, got fooled into thinking that I shouldn't. Not today. So, full nerd, right? This is the thing that's like echoing in my brain right now. I randomly get on little spurts of media, and I don't like Captain America Civil War the movie, but I do love the comic. And they did it more as a throwaway line, but I just like, let's just read this. I'm not an actor. Don't pretend that I'm like, I can't act. We all know this. I know this, at least. But the line is, doesn't matter what the press says, doesn't matter what the politicians say or the mob says, doesn't matter if the whole country decides that something wrong is right. This nation was founded on one principle above all else: the requirement that we stand up for what we believe, no matter the consequences. When the mob and the press and the whole world tell you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell the world, no, you move. You move.